Falcons and Kansas City game. I feel like this Falcons offensive line looks like a really solid unit. I think Bijan's finally hitting his stride. They're finally giving him the volume that he deserves. And I think, seeing how the Bengals were able to handle the Kansas City Chiefs up front and what that looked like, not necessarily handle them, I guess, but what that looked like, I think the Falcons have a much better unit. I think schematically they're able to put themselves in much more favorable positions, especially in the run game. And like I've always talked about, if you feel like you're outmatched in a game, whether, you never want to go into a game where it's like, oh, this team's better than us. But if you feel like you're going to be in a dogfight, you want to control the clock. You want to keep the ball on the ground. Like I talked about with the Bengals last week against the Chiefs, where it's if you can win that time of possession and you can win in the trenches, it's all going to fall in line with you. And then you have Jesse Bates on the other side that's going to be able to make some plays. I really feel like they're going to do a good job of neutralizing Chris Jones with that run game. I feel like they're going to do a good job of, attacking George Karlaftis and using his limited ability in the run game and just letting Bijan. I feel like, if you're a fantasy owner, you're a gambler. I mean, this is a big Bijan week, in my opinion. I think it's either going to be Bijan's, because he hasn't scored yet this year, I don't think, right? He hasn't found the end zone. Yeah. So I feel like, not only is he, due, as far as, gamblers like to say, us D-gens, I almost said you D-gens. I'm part of the crowd, don't worry. But, you say he's due, but it's also, this is a great week because I think they're going to have to lean on a guy like Bijan Robinson. They're going to have to lean on this offensive line. And then you're going to have Kirko Chains out there, slinging it around. But, but I think Jesse Bates is going to have a couple big plays, but I think the Falcons are going to do their best to try and control that game. And that's probably the most interesting matchup, in my opinion, just because I think the Falcons are actually a team that's poised to really handle what the Chiefs can bring. And I don't disagree with you at all, Malik. I think the Chiefs are teetering. I know there was a lot of talk this offseason that I kept trying to bring up. People talk about how stacked this roster is, and they have good players, and they're high-level talent. But outside of that high-level talent, what do they have? They have a guy in Kingsley Suamataia that got benched for the final drive of the game, which is a questionable call on its own. But you have a lot of questions on your offensive line outside of your interior, and you have a lot of high-level pass rushers coming at you just in the NFL in general. And then defensively, I think you have holes. I think you have guys that are able to make plays, and then I think this roster is teetering. If Travis Kelce really decides to step away from the league, I don't think Mahomes is going to retire with him. So, what does this Chiefs team look like? Travis Kelce, I think, had single-digit touchdowns in 2023. So I don't understand necessarily where this Chiefs offense goes if Kelce's going to be limited or be restricted based on defensive scheme. If Pacheco's out of the game, are you really? I like Still coming out because that was a fun story. I think he's a fun little player, but I don't think he's he's not a number one type guy. He's not going to be. He shouldn't be a significant contributor in your offense. I have a lot of questions about this Chiefs team already. And now if you start catching the injury bug or defenses are able to play you well enough, this Falcons team. I think the Chiefs are on upset alert this week, man.
And let me just say this. I think this is the game Zach Robinson needs, offensive coordinator. I think this is the one I'm penciling in, to be honest. And I hate to say it's a 1 week thing, but this is your time to shine against Steve Spagnuolo. Last week and even the past 2 weeks, I've been concerned. Go look at the game against the Eagles. They should have lost that game. In the second half, they ran the ball a grand amount of 3 times to Bijan Robinson. And that's what would concern me against the Chiefs is, hey, you got to stick to your game plan. And if you go out there and at home, Sunday Night Football, you beat the Chiefs. This is the statement game the Falcons need to put the AFC or the NFC South on notice, to put the NFC on notice. Zach Robinson, this new staff, you got 2 weeks under your belt. Go out there, Sunday Night Football, put the league on notice, and this would be the big statement game. And it really keys in Zach Robinson for me.
Like you said, you got to stick to the game plan, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I thought Daniel was going somewhere else with that. I was trying to pull it up. But as always, I don't get enough time. Thanks, Daniel.
Wait, no.
No. If you look at it,
filibuster.
Yeah, but if you look at it, I haven't just been impressed with Steve Spagnuolo's defense, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
And this is where I think that the Falcons can take advantage of some stuff because exactly how I said what I said last week. Let's follow some trends real quick, right? Isaiah likely went off, right, against the Kansas City Chiefs, 100 some odd yards. Touchdown or 2.
I know where you're going.
Mike Gesicki went off.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts.
Yep.
Kyle Pitts.
It's that time.
Is this a Kyle Pitts game? Because guess what? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. The numbers are suggesting to me this year that the Chiefs have a have a issue covering tight ends. The Kansas City Chiefs have a tight end problem. They have a problem covering tight ends.
Thanks, Nick Bolton.
And I think that if Zach Robinson is the play caller, we hope he will continue to grow into. I would hope that he would look at the analytics. I hope he would look at the stats and look at what has transpired at least the first 2 weeks of the season. But I've seen enough to say this. I am going to start every tight end going forward against this Kansas City Chiefs defense.
Yeah.
I think that they are willing to ride with Trent McDuffie going up against your number one receiver, and obviously the cloud coverage to try to make life a little bit more difficult for that number one receiver. But I think there's going to be a real opportunity for you to exploit this Chiefs defense with your tight ends. I've seen enough. Look, that's just where I stand, Parker. I don't know if you have any other takes on that, but I think that if you are a tight end and you're facing the Kansas City Chiefs, you're licking your chops.